In this video, we're going to take a look at our different bunt zones and explain to you how we use these bunt zones in conjunction with our philosophy of creating havoc on the baseball field through our bunting game. So we divide the field into 3 or 4 main zones, and I say 3 because there's really only 3 that are acceptable to us, although I'll explain kind of how the zone number 3 works there. So zone number 1, that's where our first sacrifice bunt or bunt for a hit goes. And I use the word sacrifice bunt only because it's familiar to a lot of people. I have yet to come up with a better term for our players, but I don't want them to think of this as a sacrifice bunt. A lot of coaches use the bunting game to also teach unselfishness, which I think unselfishness is a fantastic lesson to learn. However, not at the expense of giving up outs, in my opinion. And a lot of people are going to disagree with that, and that's fine. And you may disagree with that, but maybe this will kind of change just a little bit the way that you think about giving up outs so freely in the term of a sacrifice bunt. I've even heard some people go as far as to say, want a sacrifice bunt, we're going to tell our players to count 1001 before they leave the box, just to make sure they're not leaving early and they're getting the bunt down. And to me in my head, I just think, well, you've just assured that player's out. Okay, and we know that sometimes they're going to make outs in our bunting game. That's part of it. But the big part of it to us is being aggressive and putting pressure on other teams in correct situations. And so, again, we use the word sacrifice bunt. We do differentiate between a sacrifice bunt and a bunt for a hit. But a sacrifice bunt is still a play in which we want to create havoc, in which we want to be safe, in which we want to create monstrous innings for us. Okay, so for a sacrifice bunt or bunt for a hit, the first sacrifice, our 2 rules are, number 1, that it's 1 rule, 2 parts. Either the third baseman fields the ball or it goes foul. Okay, that's for the first sacrifice bunt or bunt for a hit. The worst thing in our bunting game that you can do is put the ball in zone 3 or even zones 2 or 4 early on in on your first bunt attempt. Ideally, you would like the third baseman to be moving towards the line. And as an aside, coaches, if you're not teaching in your bunt defense, if you're not teaching your third baseman to get to the line first before they charge or as they charge, then you're creating kind of a bad angle for them on anything that is put down the line. So just to kind of help you out there as well, we teach our guys get to the line, then charge, or get to the line as you're charging. And that just creates a better angle to first base, because if you've got to charge from away from the line to the line, get the ball, and then redirect your energy, you're going to be in trouble. So we try to tell our guys to put the ball right on that line and really take advantage of a lot of teams doing that incorrectly. So zone number 1 is our first sacrifice bunt or bunt for a hit zone. Zone number 2, that is our second sacrifice bunt zone. Okay, we still want to try to get the ball down, and a lot of times I'll actually take the bunt off after 1 attempt, unless it is a true sacrifice situation where we have a struggling hitter, an overmatched hitter, anything like that, who I'm pretty confident is not going to, at the very least, move the runner up when he's hitting. He's probably going to strike out. We might use this second sacrifice, but that kind of begs the question then, if you're pretty confident a guy's going to strike out, why is he in your lineup to begin with? And maybe that's just what your lineup is. We've had situations like that where our 7, 8, 9 hitters have really, really struggled. They hit under 200. And at that point, sometimes you are better off having a true sacrifice bunt, because the result that you're probably going to get from them is not going to be very positive. So at least a neutral result of moving the runner and then being out at first base is better than what was most likely going to happen. Our zone 3 is our dead zone. We tell our guys, do not bunt in this zone. The only way that you could bunt in this zone is if it's going to be a ball that is going to get by the pitcher. And in my high school coaching career of 11 years, I've only seen 1 or 2 guys, neither of them were on my team, that were any good at bunting a ball by the pitcher. Really difficult thing to do. Most of the time they end up bunting it really hard right back at the pitcher, and they're out by 67 feet. Okay, so zone 3 for us is a dead zone. We don't bunt in that zone. Zone 4, they can use this as a second sacrifice bunt zone, or this is where our safety squeezes go, and we'll talk about the safety squeeze a little bit later on. So that's how we utilize our bunt zones and kind of how that works with our bunting philosophy of creating havoc. So zone 1 is the absolute best. We want to get a ball down there. Zone 2 and 4 would be our second best, and then zone 3 is an absolute no-no unless they're able to bunt the ball by the pitcher and they can run a little bit.